When am I supposed to do this? I think that is a question that a lot of people come to me when it comes to exercise. You already know that movement and exercise are important. That is not new information. I don't need to convince you. However, the problem is that you have a job, you have a family to take care of, you have appointments, you have responsibilities, and you have a long list of things that need your attention. Then someone tells you that you should exercise for 30 minutes, at least 5 days a week, and you're supposed to lift weights and walk after meals and avoid sitting for too long. And you're thinking, but when? Here is something I want you to know before we go any further. Movement does not only count when it is long or intense or done inside a gym. Research has found that even short, very light walking breaks, they make a difference, especially when you compare it with being just sitting down. A lot of people think, oh, does this even make any difference? So today, we're going to be breaking down 5 exercise myths. Now, welcome to Prediabetes and the Path to Better A1C podcast. I am your host, Jenny Pena. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach, diabetes prevention program lifestyle coach, founder of GenP Coaching, and creator of the A1C Reset Protocol. My 12-week coaching program designed for individuals that want to regain their energy, balance their blood sugar, lower their A1C, and prevent type 2 diabetes while not embracing extreme diets or necessarily giving up the foods that you love. This is part 2 of a 4-part series that I am demystifying a lot of things. If you didn't listen to the previous episode, go ahead and listen. I talked about nutrition, but today we're going to talk about exercise. And as always, this podcast is for education and general information. It is not medical advice and it is not an individualized exercise program. Okay. So let's get into the topic. Make sure that if you have a practitioner, if you have a personal trainer, or a physical therapist, every time you're going to incorporate exercise, you should talk to your doctor just to get cleared. Now, if you take insulin or any other medication that lowers your blood sugar, please speak to your healthcare provider before making any changes. Like exercise can impact you in different ways. Before we get into the myths, I also want to quickly tell you about my 5-day sugar fix reset. So, if you have been collecting information, but you still don't know what to focus on first, we know that there is so much information out there as to do this. No, don't do that. Yes, but do it only 3 days a week or very random, conflicting information. It can be overwhelming. This reset, I created it for those individuals that want a simple structure, something that they know that they can follow and focus every single day on a specific task and that they can do at their own pace. So there's no complicated app. There is not a dashboard. It's not a long course or anything like that. You receive a set of emails. Every day you receive one. You get a specific focus and task, practical actions every single day. It is only $27 and you can find it through the link in the show notes or you can go visit energy.subscribepage.io. Now, let's get started with myth number 1. If it's not a real workout, it doesn't count. And you must be thinking, what is a real workout? This is one of the beliefs that a lot of people have about exercise. They think that it only counts if you change your clothes, if you go to the gym, if you sweat, and exercise for at least 30 minutes. It has to be 30 minutes or it has to be an hour or I have to feel exhausted after. And many of my Clients at the beginning, they will argue with me and say, oh, please, a 10-minute walk is not going to count. Or walking my dog, does that even count? Taking the stairs or even standing during a phone call and marching in place. All of these activities that I just shared, they do count. So don't shy away from incorporating movement any chance you get because they add up. And there is this big problem with that belief. And it is that the only movement that counts, it's that workout that is intense and that because it's so long, it cannot fit into your schedule. And then what ends up happening is that you do nothing. I only have 10 minutes. So what is the point? If it's not 30 minutes, it's not going to count. Or I only have 30 minutes. Well, if it's not 1 hour, it's not going to count. And that is not true. There was a study involving adults between the ages of 45 and 65, and they tested this. On one day, they remained seated for a very prolonged period. On other days, they interrupted that sitting every 20 minutes with 2 minutes of light, moderate walking. Both types of walk breaks improved their glucose and insulin response after eating compared with uninterrupted sitting. That does not mean you personally need to set a timer or walk every 20 minutes. It was trying to create a point. There's a bigger message here, and that is that getting up and moving, even briefly, it does matter. So maybe you walk for 10 minutes after lunch. Maybe you walk around while taking a phone call. Maybe you stand up between meetings. Maybe you walk your dog and stop dismissing it as something that doesn't count. So instead of asking, was that a real workout? I want you to ask, did I move more than I would have otherwise? That is a more useful question, something that is encouraging you to move, to find opportunities to move. Now, myth number 2, a big one. Cardio is the only exercise that matters for blood sugar. When people are told to exercise after a prediabetes diagnosis, they usually hear the same advice. Nothing wrong with that. Walk more, get more steps, do cardio. I absolutely agree. You should incorporate these modalities. And cardio is important. Walking, swimming, biking, dancing, and other forms of aerobic activity, they all are beneficial. You have cardiovascular benefits to it. You help with managing cholesterol levels. There's a lot of benefits. But cardio is not the only form of movement that deserves your attention. Strength, resistance training, they matter because your muscles use glucose for energy. Having muscle mass helps keeping your metabolism running smoothly. You will manage your glucose levels optimally. It's going to help you maintain an adequate weight. And especially if you're on GLP-1 medications, that would absolutely help. And another thing that a lot of people have a misconception is when I say resistance training, immediately people think of barbells, the weight room. I'm going to have to start doing bodybuilding. And this is not the only way to build strength. Some modalities of resistance training that you can include standing up and sitting down from a chair, squats, calf raises, resistance bands, wall push ups, using light dumbbells. What about carrying groceries? Doing a lot of these body weight exercises at home. All of those things count. So the goal is not to become a bodybuilder. The goal is to challenge your muscles safely and gradually. Cardio and strength training do not have to compete with each other. They provide different benefits, and both can be part of a balanced approach to movement. You do not have to begin by doing everything at once. That is a recipe for disaster. One thing at a time. Pick something that you can do in 5 or 10 minutes and build from there. You might begin by walking and then adding maybe 1 or 2 strength exercises once a week. And then you move it up to twice a week. You might want to take a beginner's class and go to the gym or go to a Pilates or yoga. Try something different and explore modalities that you enjoy. Make sure that you ask a qualified professional to help you choose the exercises that are best for your abilities, if you have any injuries or your medical history. And the important thing is, do not assume that cardio is just your only option. Myth number 3: if you cannot reach 150 minutes a week, there is no point. My God, another thing that is closely tied to myth number 2. You have probably heard the recommendation to get at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity every week. That is a CDC guideline. It can be a helpful long term goal. It doesn't mean that you have to start there. You do not have to reach 150 minutes before a movement begins to count. This is where people get stuck. You hear 150 minutes, and then you divide that into 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And then you look at your calendar and you feel overwhelmed and you decide, you know what? I'm going to start whenever life calms down. And I'm here to tell you, most times it doesn't calm down. So your schedule may continue to be busy. You may continue to have responsibilities. And waiting for the perfect week can keep you from doing anything during the imperfect weeks. Instead, start with what is realistic right now. Could you walk for 10 minutes 3 days a week? Could you take a 5-minute movement break, maybe during your workday? Could you stand and stretch between meetings? Maybe 10 minutes of strength training exercises at home while you're cooking dinner. Your starting point does not have to look like the final recommendation. You can build gradually. You can add time as your energy, schedule, and ability allows. And if you're beginning from a sedentary routine, you're not moving as much, starting smaller may be more manageable, and it's going to help you feel like you have accomplished, that you're moving forward, and it's actually going to be safer than suddenly attempting to do a hit workout or something super intense or super long. The guideline is the destination. That's where you want to get to. Enjoy the journey. Now, myth number 4: a workout cancels out the rest of the day spent sitting. Okay. Let's say you exercise for 45 minutes in the morning. That is great. But then you drive to work, you sit at a desk for most of the day, you sit during your commute home, you eat dinner, and you sit on the couch. The morning workout still matters, but it does not mean the rest of the day no longer matters. Exercise and prolonged sitting are related, but they're not exact opposites. You can exercise regularly and still spend many hours sitting without interruption. And this is especially relevant for those of us who work at a computer, attend back to back meetings, commute, or spend a lot of time driving. You do not need to stop working every 20 minutes and complete a workout. That is not what I'm saying. Please, please, please. You simply want to look for reasonable opportunities to break up long stretches of sitting. So you might want to stand during part of a meeting, walk while making a phone call, refill your water bottle between tasks, use the bathroom that is farther away, walk for a few minutes after lunch. And then these actions may sound a little too small to matter, which brings us right back to myth number 1. Small movement breaks are still movement. The goal is not to choose between a workout, an exercise routine, and everyday activity. You can do both, and your workout is one part of your day. The way you move during the rest of your day is another part, and they complement each other. Now, last but not least, myth number 5: exercise should always lower your blood sugar immediately. This can be so confusing, especially for someone using a CGM, which is a continuous glucose monitor, or somebody that is checking their blood sugar around exercise. You may finish a difficult workout, look at your number, and notice that it is higher than you expected. And then you think, what happened? Like, I thought exercise was supposed to bring it down. And here is the truth that not many people know: different types of exercise can affect your body differently. And especially during an intense exercise, your body may release stress hormones, and that is to make more energy available. The body is saying, whoa, you're really needing this energy. Let me create more energy. So your liver is going to start releasing stored glucose into your bloodstream to help fuel this activity that you're doing. And because of that, some people may actually see a temporary rise during or after an intense exercise. That does not automatically mean that the exercise was harmful or that you did something wrong. And remember that a single reading is only one piece of information. It does not tell you the entire story about how regular movement may affect your insulin sensitivity or your strength or cardiovascular health or energy or mood or long term health. This is also where individual differences in medication matter. That's why you should talk to your doctor and express all of these things if you're noticing changes like that. Because other people experience the opposite. They may experience a drop during the activity. Others may experience a delayed drop later. Some may see a temporary increase after the activity. So you see how there are so many different variables? So being in tune and understanding your body and how you feel, it will help you determine, okay, these are some changes that I need to do. So if you're monitoring your blood sugar and you notice a pattern that concerns you, record what happened and discuss it with your healthcare provider. Do not assume that one unexpected number means that you failed. Look for patterns and get that personalized guidance when you need it. Now, if we return to the question that we started with, when am I supposed to do this? When am I supposed to add exercise and movement? I'm here to tell you, you do not need to find an extra hour every day before movement can become part of your life. You can stop thinking of exercise as one big event that only happens at the gym. Movement can also happen in smaller moments throughout your day. It can happen after a meal, between meetings, while talking on the phone, while playing with your children, walking your dog, carrying groceries, doing simple strength exercises while you're in your living room. It doesn't mean that structured exercise is unnecessary, and it doesn't mean that I'm against gym memberships or anything like that, please. It just means that structured exercise is not the only movement that matters. I want you to know that you can work towards longer workouts and still value the 5 or 10 minutes you can do today. You can build strength without beginning with heavy weights. You can work towards 150 minutes without treating anything below that number as a failure. The goal is not to create a perfect exercise routine overnight. The goal is to create more realistic opportunities to move. Now, here's the action for the week. Last week, I asked you to choose one meal you eat regularly and add something that makes it more balanced. This week, we're going to build on that same meal. After that meal, spend a few moments moving. That could be a 10-minute walk. That could be a walk around your home. That could be you standing in the kitchen and marching in place. You could walk through the hallway in your building. If 10 minutes feel like too much for you right now, begin with 2 or 5 minutes. The point is not to necessarily do it perfectly. The point is to connect that one meal with this one realistic opportunity to move. And then pay attention to how you feel afterwards. Do you feel more energy, more awake? Does it help transition to the next activity that you have to do? And assess, could this be part of a routine that you can repeat every single day? Next week, we're going to be talking about sleep and stress. Make sure you subscribe so the next episode appears in your feed. And if today's episode helped you, please share it with someone who believes exercise only counts when it happens inside a gym. And I would love for you to review, and reviews help more people find practical, science based information about prediabetes without all of the fear and extreme promises we see online. When you are ready for a simple place to begin, remember that my 5-day sugar fix resets is available for only $27. You will receive one email with one focus action each day for 5 days, so you know exactly what to work on first. It comes with a workbook, lots of tools and information, and some reflection at the end so that you can prepare and use the tools that you have to start stacking your habits and build an amazing routine that fits your life. The link is going to be in the show notes, or you can just go straight to energy.subscribepage.io. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.